My dad fancies Harrison Ford and I'm totally fine with it. Mum, not so much. When I was young, I knew I was different, but cranium girth aside, fancying girls had always felt natural to me. Growing up, I always kept it a secret. I always wanted to be a boy and do boy things like wear boy clothes, climb trees, blow up ants' nests with hot water and sarcasm. Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna get away. Embarrassingly enough, my first girl crush was Jennifer Aniston. I used to secretly kiss my friend's poster every time I left a room. Then I had to throw it away because it got gross with my own slob. I was 8 and Jennifer taught me how to kiss and shit got real. Got so real. But then I had to religiously kiss the poster every time I entered and left a room, and that's when my first obsessive compulsion was born. When I was 10, I told my dad that I fancied girls. He said, it's perfectly natural to have feelings for your girlfriends, but I thought he said, it's perfectly natural to feel up your girlfriends, and that was actually, unbeknown to him, the best advice he's ever given me. Second to, if in doubt, flip it out. Always have, always will. Sometimes you haven't got a choice. When I realised Jennifer and I could never be, moving on was a slow and painful process. But I soon found love again. His name was Jack. Unfortunately, he died because Kate Winslet wasn't willing to share that evening, and as a result, she cost me a life of heterosexual privilege. So thanks, Kate, for nothing. She was actually Oscar nominated for it, which I thought was spiteful. So after Jack died, even though I was 12, I thought to myself, perhaps I have the capacity in my heart to fancy both men and women. Since my feelings for Jack had sunk to the bottom of the North Atlantic with that boat and Billy Zane's career, and Jennifer was happily married to Chiselface, I needed to focus my attention on the attainable, and for me that's always been my problem. I began idolising this girl in primary school. I thought she was beautiful and she played Mary in the Christmas Nativity. I was a wise man. Mum, Dad, I was a wise man. How did you not know? I brought frankincense so fucking hard. I didn't really know where I fit in on the spectrum of being a real tomboy to being a real girly girl, but then I developed these things called boobs. Now boobs make it slightly harder to be a tomboy because, you know, when you're trying to do boy stuff like, you know, throwing stones at bigger stones, it's harder because they weigh you down and they throw your balance. So basically when I developed boobies, I started to dress girly and be girly. I secretly fancied all of my friends at high school. I was totally fine with it until I wasn't fine with it. For some reason, one day when I was 14, I felt horribly guilty. Not unlike a pervert. I had a really hard time. I remember printing off pictures of Ewan McGregor from Moulin Rouge to try and convince myself that it was him that I wanted and not Nicole Kidman. I used to stare at these pictures hour upon hour to try and look at his face and think, no, it's men that I'm attracted to, not Nicole Kidman. I fancied Nicole Kidman in that film to the point where it was quite ridiculous, and I tried to convince myself that I wanted to be her and not be with her, but I wanted to do her in her everywhere. But unfortunately then she succumbed to tuberculosis. Why do all my true loves die? And that's when I knew that it wasn't just adoration, it was more than that. It was, I'm gonna sit on you and then just bounce some. But I never addressed it in my mind prior to that point. I never thought to myself, oh, that's wrong. Like, that, you don't do that. Don't think that way, or don't feel that way. But to be honest with you, girls were the only thing that excited me. That it made my heart race, because boys just did not have that effect. I was friends with all the boys, I loved having fun with them, but not sexy fun, apparently. I just didn't really have that strong attraction to boys, that emotional, that thing that just wrenched your guts out, that kind of feeling. When I thought about some of the girls that I used to really like in school, I used to literally be so absorbed in every single facet of their personality, their appearance, their smell, everything. And it all amounted to something that was just so strong, could not be ignored any longer. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm at a point in my life where I have to accept something about myself that I've never actually consciously thought before, and that's really scary. And I thought, if I accept it in my mind and be okay with it secretly to myself, just because I've accepted it on the inside, will people be able to tell on the outside that I'm different? And I remember that morning walking into school thinking, I've accepted that I think I might be a lesbian. And no one knew any different. And that's when I thought, wow, I could actually get on with this for a while on my own before I'm ready to tell anybody and be okay with it on the inside. And that was a big step. That was a huge step. I was scared and I conquered it like a fucking pro. So when I was 14, I accepted it in my head that there was a chance I could be a full lesbian, or definitely at least bisexual. All I knew at that time was that I fancied women a lot more than men, a lot more. Sexually, physically, emotionally, everything. It was all there. As I grew up a little bit, sort of 15, 16, that's when I had feelings for a guy, but it wasn't really feelings. If anything, it was because he was sporty, he was really funny, he was a good looking guy, and he was just like me, so I felt like we would make a good couple and it would be socially acceptable, more socially acceptable than me and some girls that I had my eye on that unfortunately couldn't be mine. I was 17 when I lost my virginity to a guy. Yes, it's happened. Does it make me any less lesbian? I will let everybody else answer that, because that's not really something I am going to try and debate with you, because I don't feel like I need to prove anything. That's not why I'm making this video. I'm not making this video to say one thing makes you really lesbian and the other thing makes you slightly less lesbian because you may have touched a man before. It's not about that. This is just my story. Make of it what you will. I'm sure you will. So at 17, I lost my virginity very quickly. It was fast. The second time was faster. I didn't have the best time. Not even the second time. I know you thought I did. Then when I was 18, I was in a relationship with a boy for a few weeks. I slept with him too, and realised that absolutely not. I couldn't be with a guy. I didn't have enough emotional connection. Physical attraction was just not there. I could always appreciate when a man was attractive, just like I can now. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it came to sex, there was just, it was awkward. Like, no.